sorts of searching. It's still a very responsive system. This drop-down controls what we call views and relativity. And views are canned queries that control workflow and a bit of reporting in general, but three things specifically. Views control the columns displayed across the top, the criteria we use to pull back our records, and our default sort order. So for instance, right now we're showing responsiveness and issues fields, but if more of a first-pass reviewer came through, we might just lock them down to the minor review documents field, where the responsiveness field would be the only one that's available to them. We might even automate some workflow, so as records are coded and tagged as responsive, it automatically flow into second-tier review. A couple of other things we can do with views is I have this one called responsive documents. And it looks like we have 857 in the system now. And I can use this drop-down to include duplicates or family documents even if they're not responsive to the query that we set up. So for instance, if I included duplicates, it looks like it jumps to 1458. Maybe I want to normalize these documents, so what I'm going to do is click on the responsiveness field just to sort the uncoded documents to the top. I can see the records that have been tagged inconsistently or not at all. These are exact duplicates of responsive documents, so I might want to normalize these quickly with a mass action. Maybe these are records that I want to create a mass TIFF of, which I can print locally, and we can print them with or without the redaction. Do some tallying, summing, and averaging of fielded data, or export them. Each one of these are individually securable, so we can grant rights to one, none, all, or any combination that makes sense to the reviewers. In our case, we just want to edit these. I can come in and tag these since they're duplicates of responsive documents. I would tag them as responsive, and I'd hit save, but in our case, I'm just going to cancel it out. Another question we often get is how to pull Privlog out of relativity. In our case, it's just a matter of setting up another view. So we have documents that have been tagged as privileged with the fields that we've agreed upon to report. And with that, we can take another mass action. Let's say, for all 49 of these documents marked as privileged, we're going to export them. We can export them as either a .dat or CSV file, but in this case, we're just going to export them as an Excel spreadsheet. We'd like to keep them Unicode compliant. So here we have the Privlog all ready to go, and we can save and manipulate it from here. So that's views inside of relativity.
Now that we've talked a little bit about browsing and views, I want to show you how you can use relativity to investigate and search through your documents. We can search in multiple ways. We could do keyword searching, and then, using relativity analytics, we can expand our search to find related keywords in similar documents. For example, let's say we're defending Enron in a financial fraud case, and we just received what we expect to be the first of many document collections, a little over 74,000 records. From an investigative standpoint, one of the first things I want to do is find the documents that are going to help me build our facts of the case and learn what really happened. Now I've got some keywords that my team has agreed are important to start with, but one of the limitations with keyword searching in a case like this is that we don't always have insight into the insider terms that will lead us to the actual fraud. Rather than just run a keyword search for a single term, or spend a bunch of time trying to construct some elaborate keyword search from scratch, I can take an important keyword I already know about and use relativity to build upon it. One of the keywords we think might be important in this case is arrangement. So I'll cast a wide net and look for variations of the word arrangement. You can see I get a few misspellings and typos, which look like they were intended to be the word arrangement, so I'll copy these into my search box. Now to expand my investigation, I'll use relativity analytics to find terms that were used in conceptually similar ways to arrangement within this dataset. When we expand on the word arrangement, I see a list of words that are contextually correlated to arrangement. Considering this is a financial case, I understand how co-investment and vehicles are closely related terms, but some of them don't make immediate sense to me. If I'm not sure what LJM is, I can click on it to see words contextually correlated to LJM. Once I click on LJM, the terms related to it almost define it for us. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Enron case, LJM was incorporated as a co-investment company with Andrew Fastow, the CFO of Enron, along with LJM2 on the Cayman Islands, a known tax haven, under the guise of being a partnership with Enron, but they were actually a vehicle to write off billions of dollars in losses to make Enron look more profitable than it was. Now that I have expanded the scope of my investigation, I can run a search for all these terms I've uncovered. I've narrowed my universe of documents down from about 74,000 records to a little over 1,700 that I can dig into. At a high level, I may want to look for any trends in the data that might exist. Looking at this graph, I can see that there's a spike in activity in June of 2000, and the activity continues across the rest of this dataset. This graph is interactive. So I'll focus on June 2000, which could be the beginning of some activity. When I click on the June 2000 bar in this graph,